In the year 451 CE, the fate of Western civilization hung by a thread. Across the rolling fields of the Catalaunian Plains, what is now modern-day France, two ancient enemies joined forces, driven by desperation and the specter of annihilation. On one side, the proud legions of Rome, battered by centuries of war and decay, but still standing beneath their eagle standards. On the other, the Visigothic warriors, once the terror of Rome's borders, now brothers in arms in the face of a far greater threat. Together, they would face the most feared fighting force of the age, the Huns, led by the scourge of God himself, Attila. The world had never seen an enemy like Attila. His horsemen swept across the land like a storm, burning cities, slaughtering armies, and leaving only ashes in their wake. His very name struck terror from the Rhine to the Danube. Now Attila's sights were set on the heart of Gaul, and nothing, it seemed, could stand in his path. But then, from the ashes of old rivalries, a new alliance was forged. Flavius Aetius, the last great Roman general, understood that Rome could not stand alone. He summoned the barbarian tribes, Visigoths, Alans, Franks, and Burgundians. King Theodoric of the Visigoths answered the call, and so did thousands of warriors who just years earlier had clashed with Roman legions. On this day, their swords would be turned against the Huns. The battlefield was a cauldron of death and chaos. Ancient sources claimed that 300,000 men clashed in a single day, a number so vast that the earth itself seemed to tremble beneath the thunder of hooves and the screams of the dying. The Huns charged first, their arrows blotting out the sun, their horsemen crashing into the allied lines with savage fury. But while enemies fled in terror before Attila's onslaught, these warriors stood their ground. Roman discipline held the center, while the Visigoths, driven by the grim determination of their king, anchored the flanks. The Alans, famed for their fearless cavalry, fought with reckless abandon, buying precious time for the allies to regroup. Amidst the blood and dust, the battle raged with unrelenting savagery. Theodoric, the Visigothic king, led from the front, his sword flashing as he cut down foe after foe. But then, in the press of combat, tragedy struck. Theodoric was thrown from his horse and trampled beneath the chaos. A king's life ended on a blood-soaked field, even as his warriors fought on. For a moment, hope seemed lost. But Theodoric's son, Thorismund, seized his father's standard and rallied the Visigoths with a cry for vengeance. The tide began to turn. Cohesion and courage overcame the whirlwind fury of the Huns. The Roman legions, battered but unbroken, pressed forward. The Visigoths hurled themselves at Attila's camp, breaking through the defenses and threatening the warlord himself. As night fell, the field was littered with the dead, Romans, Goths, Huns, and countless others, their blood mingling in the mud. Attila, for the first time, tasted defeat. Though the battle was tactically indecisive, it shattered the myth of Hun invincibility. The scourge of God withdrew, his dreams of Western conquest slipping through his fingers. Rome, battered and aged, had managed to shape a strange brotherhood. Romans and barbarians united by necessity, not trust. The empire's days were numbered, but on this day, they had changed the course of history. And yet, the fate of these warriors was far from certain. Would Rome survive another onslaught? Would the fragile alliance hold? Or would old hatreds tear the victors apart? What became of Attila and his horde, and how would the world remember those who stood together on that blood-soaked plain? The answers awaited on the next battlefield, where destiny was forged in iron and fire.